Child abuse awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Please like, subscribe, and share. Hit the thumbs up, please. I would appreciate it. Always like starting it out with the Bible verse. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. Matthew 18, verse 10, take heed that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. I hope everyone's doing good today. I'm going to have this going at the bottom of the screen. If you suspect child abuse, call Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1 800 for a child or 1 800 422 4453 or go to www.childhelp.org. All calls are toll free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. Hello, Jackie. Good to see you. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well today. Today, the story Laura Ramirez, 31-year-old in Pennsylvania, murdered her 3-year-old stepdaughter. This happened back in 2020, but it's just finally going into courts. She was sentenced for murdering her stepdaughter, 3, because girl was conceived from husband's affair. It's not the child's fault. Bella Seacrest, 3, died in June 2020 due to starvation and neglect. Picked on a little child, murder a little child, blame the little child, when it's the adults that did these acts. Look how beautiful she was. A little child, she didn't deserve what happened to her. It said this is a picture of the photo on the GoFundMe page. The article contains disturbing description of child abuse. A Pennsylvania woman has been sentenced to life in prison for killing her stepdaughter because the child was born out of an affair her husband had with another woman. According to WPXI and WTAE and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Bella Seacrest, 3, died in June 2020 due to starvation and neglect, police said, according to WPXI. Her stepmother, oops, sorry, what you said right here. It says here, on another child brutally abused and murdered too. Her stepmother, Laura Ramirez, 31, was found guilty of criminal homicide in July, WTAE reported, just 2 months after the girl's father, Jose Salazar Ortiz was found guilty of third-degree murder in May, according to WPXI. See, even the daddy was found guilty of third-degree murder. He was sentenced to up to 66 years in August, according to CBS. W, dang it, WXPI reported in June that the investigators determined that Ortiz and Ramirez subjected the girl to starvation, torture, and physical abuse. Authorities said Ramirez was the prime abuser. Uh, the poor child, right? 3-year old. You see how cute that little kid didn't. He should have kept his pants on. He should have been mad at the guy. She had bruises on her face. The child's mother, Nicole Seacrest, told WTAE following the girl's death. She had a broken nose, bruises on her body, burnt cigarette marks on her body, sores on her feet, sores on her back, and she had bruises in her pelvis area. Eileen Boggs Earhart, who babysat Bella, testified in court in June against Ramirez and said Bella had lots of love in her. Oh, she spoke for the child. She said the little girl had lots of love in her. She looked like it too. I'll go back up to show her picture again. That beautiful little girl. Yeah, beautiful. A lot of people would love to have a little child. They didn't. What are there plenty of other people that would have loved to have her? She wanted to be held and loved. That's what kids basically want, y'all. What are y'all subjecting these kids to torture? Why are y'all doing this heinous acts? They're innocent. They're just trying to give you love back. They want to show their appreciation. They want to love you and be loved. I'm grateful and I thank the Lord that I was the one who was able to give her the love, change her diapers, and to feed her, and to put her hair up in the little ponytails that no one else was doing, she said. Ramirez's sister, Alexis, hey, I wish we'd quit going up like that. Ramirez's sister, Alexis Herrera, is also accused of witnessing and participating in the abuse. Also, see, Alexis Herrera. She also participated in it. Ramirez's sister, Alexis Herrera, is also facing a slew of charges in this case, including homicide, child endangerment, and false imprisonment. Her charge of unlawful restraint was dismissed. She is scheduled to go to trial in January. WTAE reports. Justin John Earl Ketchell, an attorney listed in Herrera in court records, did not immediately respond to people's requests for comment. As I said, if you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1 800 for a child or 1 800 422 4453 or go to childhelp.org. All calls are toll free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. Now, this one might have a little bit more to it, so that's why I'm going to read this one too. This is uncalled for. Woman was found guilty of first degree murder and torture. Yeah, so innocent. Oh, that's a Pittsburgh area woman. Yeah, that's where that shows at, don't it? Where my thing was, don't it? And she's so innocent. See, Pennsylvania woman found guilty of murder and starvation death of 3-year-old stepdaughter. And this was, like I said, July the 3rd, 2023. This was published. A Pittsburgh area woman was found guilty of first-degree murder Monday in the torture and starvation death of her husband's 3-year-old daughter in 2020. An Allegheny County judge also found Laura Ramirez, I guess it's Ramriez, it looks like Ramirez, I would think that it was Ramirez, 31 of Oakmont, Allegheny County, guilty of aggravated assault, endangered the welfare of a child, unlawful restraint, and conspiracy to commit homicide, according to the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Oh my gosh, Ramirez was also found not guilty, okay, of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse with a child, the paper reported. So does that mean she did it voluntarily? Found not guilty of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse. What? Find out more about that. She had bruising on her pelvis, so that must admit they did something to her. In May, Ramriez's husband, Jose Salazar Ortiz, Sr., 32, also of Oakmont, was found guilty of third-degree murder, aggravated assault, endangering the welfare of a child, and conspiracy in the death of his daughter, Bella Seacrest, the Tribune reported. You sorry piece of crap. She was your daughter. You sorry piece of crap, too. Salazar Ortiz Sr. is scheduled to be sentenced on August the 8th. Ramirez is being held in Allegheny County Jail awaiting sentencing. Well, August the 8th done passed. So WPXI reported last month that police have said Ramirez abused Bella because the child was a result of her husband's affair. The Tribune reported that the child had 3 children of their own. Don't blame the children. Stop blaming the children. According to the Tribune, Bella died in June 2020 after authorities said she suffered constant abuse and starvation. The child was not allowed to interact with the other children in the home, and she was forced to sleep on a cot in a hallway instead of a bed, the paper reported, citing a criminal complaint. But yet these monsters will get 3 meals a day of medical help. Exactly. This child was starved. Don't you think that they should starve as well? Police said Ramriez beat Bella daily, tied the child to a staircase with shoelaces. Look at that. Tied her up with shoelaces. Hit her with a wooden spoon and forced her to spend extended time in a closet. Oh, man. The child was forced to sit on her training potty for so long that her feet swelled and turned purple. Bella, police said, was also forced to stand facing a wall with her arms in the air and head tilted up and was not allowed to put her head down. Wow. At the time of her death, Bella weighed just 29 pounds. Remember, that's 3 years old, 29 pounds, and measured 35 inches long. The Tribune reported that the cause of death was determined to be malnutrition and failure to thrive, as well as abuse and neglect with evidence of blunt force trauma and extreme sexual abuse. See there? There's extreme sexual abuse. See? There it is. They even sexually abused that poor kid. Look at her. If they're abusing that poor kid, what are they doing with their own kids? Seriously, what are they doing with their own kids if they could even abuse somebody, because that is That is his child, daddy's child. And he allowed that? He was a part of that? Alexis Herrera, a 23-year-old from North Carolina who is Ramriez's sister and who lived in the house at the time, will go to trial in January on homicide and other charges in the case, the Tribune said. But she was a part of it. Dang, and they said she did some of the stuff as well. Monsters. Pure monsters. And to see, but it's got the pictures. See if this is her or not right here. You see Alexis right here? There's the aunt trying to get down there to. And here's the daddy right there. That's his Facebook page. Sorry piece of crap. Sorry excuse for a human being. You just wanted to get your jolly spiel to do that. There's the stepmother right there. There she is. Sorry pieces of crap. Wow. Yeah, they need them pictures exposed, don't they? Sickening pieces of crap. Boy, yeah, they need to be the death penalty. They don't need to stay in the jail. We don't need to put up with them and, keep them nicely in jail until, they die of old age and pay all their medical and everything. And that child was not even allowed it. The child was sexually abused, tortured. The daddy just gets 66 years. And y'all might say, well, 66 ain't much, but excuse me, you caused the death of the child, too. You're a part of it. They're going to charge with child murder. They need to go. They need to be under the jail. They need to be gone. We don't need to house them and give them medical. Let them have air conditioning and all that other kind of stuff. Look, they locked that child in a closet. They made her stand right there in the corner, had her head held standing straight up. She was not allowed to put her head down. She could not interact with none of the other kids. Nothing. She was starved. Sit on the potty for hours and hours, and she was not allowed to get up, and her feet actually swollen, and her feet both turned purple. That shut off blood supply. It shut off her blood supply to her feet. She was burnt with cigarettes throughout her body in different spots. The aunt did not speak up for it. The daddy did not speak up for it. I wondered how much the babysitter knew before the little girl died. If she knew this was going on, why did she not tell herself? Why? Why did it come to this that she said, well, at least I was there to, comfort her, put her hair up and all that other kind of stuff. What about saving the girl's life? How about that? And the reason why the mother didn't have custody, she was into drugs and everything. So she said that her daughter deserved a better life instead of with her being on drugs. So she really thought she would have a better life with that piece of crap, the guy she had an affair with her. I guess that's what they told her. This is all wrong. She was found everywhere. And oh man, and them kids, oh boy, them kids had to witness all this. The three kids. They're all other kids. Why didn't the babysitter, if the babysitter knew how she was being treated, why didn't she turn them in? Can they not get some kind of criminal charges against her? With the fact that she never reported it, maybe? These other kids probably, no telling what kind of life that they had too. They're, the other siblings that was her children. People had to know. There was too many incidents. What happened whenever they went to town and stuff? Did people see her, or was she locked in a closet there? Is that when they called a babysitter to stay with her? Why didn't a babysitter call the police or take her to the police department or whatever? Saying, look, I think she's being SA'd. You know what I'm saying? And she's got those bruises and even on her genitalia. She had bad kind of pelvis bruises. Exactly. And everybody's a mandated reporter. Can she not go to jail for not mandating reporting, knowing that this was going on? At least the little girl had a good, she loved, da 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 da. She did not, she was hoping maybe that you would help her, you know? She was hoping that somebody cared enough to protect her. Well, she didn't have to go back into that closet to being burnt. All the the rapes, child rapes. How dare they do that? How dare they? If anybody in here wants to protect those losers, I don't want you to say nothing here. I would like you to turn yourself into jail if you want to be. That's part of the problem. People like y'all that think it's okay for a kid. But there was one guy that a long time ago I spoke to at Yahoo, and he really ticked me off because he said any man who says that he does not get turned on when they hear of a daddy messing with his little daughter, they're lying. Can y'all believe somebody told me that? That any man who says he is not turned on from a daddy messing with a little bitty kid, little bitty baby, that they're lying? I was like, I hope not. And I had to block him right away. I said, that's not true. Exactly. There's a lot more people that's that crazy and thinking that. So I'm like, he must be a pedophile himself. I used to play a lot of games on Yahoo and the different, like we had literati and we had checkers and stuff. Yeah. How could anyone think that's sexy or even want to go in the bathroom and get themselves off just because hearing about that, getting turned on, hearing that a child was raped? How the hell is that a turn on? I'm not usually cussing, but seriously, how is that a turn on? These sickos, monsters. Something needs done more than what's being done. 66 years in jail. Excuse me, that girl did not even have 3 years and they had killed her. Not even 3 years. And there's a lot more victims that these kind of things have happened to, too. And we have to suffer the rest of our lives because of stupid jerks like this that keeps making these things happen. This to keep being allowed because you're still just letting them in jail. You're just still 66 and young, whatever. But what about the child? That child wasn't allowed to eat. 20 something pounds at 3 years old? Excuse me? In jail, they can even interact with other people right there. You know, she couldn't even interact with her siblings. And yes, that is siblings. The other three kids were her half siblings. Yes, she was a sister to them other three kids. What kind of mark is that going to leave on the three kids? Are they going to look at that kid with hate also once they grow up? Or are they going to put the blame where it needs to be on these sorry pieces of crap of family that they got? What kind of stuff did they make their children do? Because with mine, with my daddy used to hit me in the head and make my siblings kick me all over my body while calling me stupid, fat, ugly, and retarded. Were they made to do it, hurt the child also? Were they right there seeing a lot of it? Which you know that kid had to cry a lot of times, being in so much pain. These poor kids. Well, thank you so much. I better go ahead and go before I say something too much. I'll start saying some words that are not too pretty. And thank you so much. I still need to go to the Americans, have a welfare nurse that checks in on children. They go to school and check out how they develop. Not unless they are called. They don't have people that come into the home. The government tries to step in too much into our lives a lot of times, and they try to take kids away too early, even to good parents. A lot of times, and I've had so many parents that, so many friends that had to deal with the fact that they end up telling on the predator, and guess what? They end up being the one charged, and the predator ends up with custody of the child. They end up making the charges go against the person who's not the problem. And these people, how long have they been in the United States? Are they just got here? Um, are they really supposed to be illegal, but letting them in there legally? We don't really know. Why are we funding these people, even though we're funding them in jail? I wish a lot of us victims could go in front of these people and they be strapped down their mouth, really tape where they cannot say nothing back and they have to listen 24/7 to us people who had to endure that kind of BS. I wish that that could be part of their punishment. But that's what they had to do all the time to sit there and listen to us survivors. And we could call them all the names in the book that they had done and pretend, take out the harshness on them, by telling them how much and how bad it hurt them the rest of their lives from what was done to them, and now their daughter don't have a chance. How dare you, being God? Because that right there, when they did that, they acted as if they were God. There was no justice for her, even though they're in jail. She still don't have justice because she should have never had to endure that. The people are in jail, sure, but it should have never happened in the first place. There's too many adults in the equation right here who failed her. But Jackie, we supposed to. They do keep a check and let you know if people don't have shots and that kind of stuff. With these, because we're supposed to have immunizations and stuff. And then you're supposed to have regular checkups for kids, which we had. I don't think they. I don't know of anybody that's ever really went out and they didn't take their child in for the normal checkups. Which a lot of times I didn't do that yearly for my kids anyway. I just took them when they needed medical attention when they got sick. The moms call them the nosy nurse, but a child's safety first. But yeah, but there's some that slip through the cracks, unfortunately, you know. Boy, we need to figure out how we're going to resolve this issue because this is happening way too often, too normal. All these people that knew about it, like this, her sister that moved to North Carolina, it makes you wonder after she moved away, does she have kids? Did she abuse her kids? Because anybody that abuses any one child, regardless if they're blood or not, there's usually other kids that they violate and abuse as well. We all know that that's a pattern that they do. And they want to use it as an excuse. Oh, I killed her because uh, he had an affair. My husband had an affair with another lady, and that's a product of it. That's no excuse. That's no reason. That's BS. Utter BS. It's not the child's fault that she came into the world. It's a product of the daddy of his behavior. And if the woman loved the dad enough and she kept the dad around after he done that act, that means she forgave him. So she should treat that child equally as if her own child. Know that this is a life. I bet you she got animals she treats better than she did that kid. I got some friends who actually, well, knew some other people that they made sure that the pets were fed, but then they wouldn't let the kids have the food or anything, and I that was horrible too. Exactly, Jackie. Some people don't deserve it. And I was talking with somebody about my mom, my birth mom, the other day, and I said, "See, it makes sense now because people that lived under in Germany with Hitler said that they were brainwashed." And so when your mom keep telling you that you were born to prostitute and to sell your body, that's because she was trained that by the Hitler's regime, basically, because they wanted a lot of babies to be in the military. So they had a type of thing where women were having babies, and then they basically had a little thing where they were having them go down when they put them straight in there with a or to be raised up to fight for Hitler. No, I'm like, wow. But yeah, they saw it on TV the other day how they had the kids going down the line, you know, where they after they had the babies and stuff, where these basically they brainwash. I'm like, wow. I said, but still, I'm not going to forgive my mom for what she had done. She had a choice. She was here in the United States, and she should have. If she hated Americans like she said she did, she had no right to be here in America. She needed to put back over there or whatever, you know. She was a traitor to Americans. All right. I guess I better get off my high vent now thing. Yeah. He brainwashed people bad, yeah. And I guess when I was growing up, I basically was being brainwashed by my parents, you know, saying I deserve all of this stuff. Basically, get brainwashed and you blame yourself for all the stuff. They tell you it's your fault all these years, and you really start believing all that they're telling you that you're a bad person, you're a bad, because that's all they ever say. You, they know how to do tactics, you know, when a lot of these devious parents. There's my daddy too, not just my mom. So my mom was in Avantis when I was 4. Oh yeah, Jackie. When I was in the 7th grade in Florida, Our history teacher, thank God my twin sister spoke up for me that day, but she don't speak up for me very often. But she did that day. The teacher said, "Hey," told me, said, "You need to do a paper on Hitler." And I begged her, I said, "Please, please don't. I don't want to do Hitler." She said, "You'll do Hitler. You'll do what I give you." And I said, "Please, not Hitler." She didn't understand why I was begging her not to do Hitler, but she still said I needed to do it. Well, my twin sister, if she would have never told my stepmom that I was doing a paper on Hitler, it would have never got me in trouble in the first place, right? So my mom got the homework, and I had on there how Hitler killed the Jews and all that stuff like that, right? And my mom got a hold of the paper. She ripped it up after she read it. She said, "How dare you say that Hitler was a bad man? Hitler was a really good man. You better write a paper, and you better go out there and correct all that. Speak of how good Hitler was." And I had the piece of paper, and I tried to, and I put Hitler was, and I couldn't write nothing else. I just, bowed my head because I could not get myself to write that. No matter how much she threatened me, I could not write down that Hitler was a good man. Well, the next day at school, the teacher looked right at me for the first assignment, and she said, "You got your homework?" She said, "Did you do your homework?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I don't see it on your desk." I said, "No, ma'am," and I hung my head down in shame. And I didn't really want the rest of the class to know what had happened. And she said, "Well, you're getting an F for not having it because you're saying you did it, but you're getting an F anyway. So apparently you didn't do it." Then my twin sister raised her hand and she said she did do it. She said, "Well, where is it?" She said, "Mom tore it up." She said, "Well, why did Mom tear it up?" The teacher asked my twin. "Well, she tore it up because she put down that she didn't like you know, what Darlene said. And well, what'd she say? How Hitler killed the Jews and those mass graves and all that stuff. I told about that, right?" And then teacher told me, said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did not know. No wonder you didn't want to do this. I'm so sorry for putting you through that." That teacher really was sorry after she heard what I went through. And but then, even though no matter how much she apologized, that made things a lot worse in my eyes because now the embarrassment was there because now all the students in the class knew that my mother was pro Hitler. The country have been many times, and you would not believe how safe the country is now. Done well in the country now. That's awesome, right? But I could never go and say that Hitler was a good man. I got to wear, the stomach pains just from the stresses of not eating and everything else. It was really taking a toll on me, doubling over in pain, and they would have to bring a cot in the front of the room when I was in the seventh grade a lot of times, and they would let me sleep in the front of the class because I just kept getting sick. And you know how usually you would, if you get sick at school, you call a parent. They actually went ahead and would let me be dismissed without calling my parent then. So I got to go ahead and go home and rest a while in the house before they got home from work. So I was grateful she worked too, so I could get on home and rest. Thank you so much. Yeah, I seen a lot of the architecture in Germany. I had got a VCR tape on it years ago, and the architecture work was beautiful. A lot different than what I had imagined. I want to thank you so much, Jackie, for being here. I'm going to go ahead and go now. I need to probably rest a little bit. Thank you so much. Lots of love.